The Rolls-Royce C range was a series of inline 4, 6, and 8-cylinder diesel engines used in small railway locomotives, construction vehicles, marine, and similar applications. They were manufactured by the Rolls-Royce Oil Engine Division, headed by William Arthur Robotham, to 1963, initially at Derby and later at Shrewsbury, from the 1950s through to 1970s. Although officially termed the C range, they were best known for the most common C6 SFL 6-cylinder variant. Most had an output of around 200 bhp, with 233 bhp for the final models. Their construction was a conventional water-cooled vertical inline 6 4-stroke diesel engine of 12.17 liters, 743 cu in. Most were supercharged by a roots blower, but there were also variants with a turbocharger or naturally aspirated. The Westinghouse J34, company designation Westinghouse 24C, was a turbojet engine developed by Westinghouse Aviation Gas Turbine Division in the late 1940s. Essentially an enlarged version of the earlier Westinghouse J30, the J34 produced 3,000 pounds of thrust, twice as much as the J30. Later models produced as much as $4,900 LOB with the addition of an afterburner. It first flew in 1947. The J46 engine was developed as a larger, more powerful version of Westinghouse's J34 engine, about 50% larger. Built in an era of rapidly advancing gas turbine engine technology, the J34 was largely obsolete before it saw service, and often served as an interim engine. For instance, the Douglas X3 Stiletto was equipped with two J34 engines when the intended Westinghouse J46 engine proved to be unsuitable. The Ford Flathead V8 is a V8 engine with a flat cylinder head designed by the Ford Motor Company and built by Ford and various licensees. During the engine's first decade of production, when overhead valve engines were used by only a small minority of makes, it was usually known simply as the Ford V8, and the first car model in which it was installed, the Model 18, was often called simply the Ford V8 after its new engine. Although the V8 configuration was not new when the Ford V8 was introduced in 1932, the latter was a market first in the respect that it made an 8-cylinder affordable and a V-engine affordable to the emerging mass-market consumer for the first time. It was the first independently designed and built V8 engine produced by Ford for mass production, and it ranks as one of the company's most important developments. The Rolls-Royce Merlin is a British liquid-cooled V12 piston aero engine of 27 liters, 1,651 CQ in capacity. Rolls-Royce designed the engine and first ran it in 1933 as a private venture. Initially known as the PV12, it was later called Merlin, following the company convention of naming its 4-stroke piston aero engines after birds of prey. After several modifications, the first production variants of the PV12 were completed in 1936. The first operational aircraft to enter service using the Merlin were the Ferry Battle, Hawker Hurricane, and Supermarine Spitfire. The Merlin remains most closely associated with the Spitfire and Hurricane, although the majority of the production run was for the 4-engined Avro Lancaster heavy bomber. Starting at 1,000 horsepower for the first production models, most late-war versions produced just under 1,800 horsepower, and the very latest version as used in the de Havilland Hornet over 2,000 horsepower. The Chevrolet Big Block engine is a term for a series of large displacement, naturally aspirated, 90-degree overhead valve, gasoline-powered V8 engines that were developed and produced by the Chevrolet division of General Motors from the 1950s until present. Chevrolet had introduced its popular small-block V8 in 1955, but needed something larger to power its medium-duty trucks and the heavier cars that were on the drawing board. The Big Block, which debuted in 1958 at 348 cu in 5.7 L, was built in standard displacements up to 494 cu in 8.1 L, with aftermarket crate engines sold by Chevrolet exceeding 500 cu in 8.2 L. The first version of the Big Block V8 Chevrolet engine, known as the W Series, was introduced in 1958. Chevrolet designed this engine for use in passenger cars and light trucks. This engine had an overhead valve design with offset valves and uniquely scalloped rocker covers, giving it a distinctive appearance. The Detroit Diesel Series 71 is a 2-stroke diesel engine series available in both inline and V configurations, manufactured by Detroit Diesel. The number 71 refers to the nominal displacement per cylinder in cubic inches, a rounding off of 70.93 cu in 1.2 al. Inline models included 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 cylinders, and the V-type 6, 8, 12, 16, and 24 cylinders. The two largest V units used multiple cylinder heads per bank to keep the head size and weight to manageable proportions. The V16 using 4 heads from the 4-cylinder inline model, and the V24 using 4 heads from the inline 6-cylinder model. The Detroit Diesel 149 is a series of 2-stroke diesel engines manufactured by Detroit Diesel, which were first announced in early 1966. After Detroit Diesel was spun off in 1988 and later acquired by MTU, production of Series 149 engines was discontinued around 2000. The first configuration was a naturally aspirated 12V149, rated at about 600 HP, soon followed by a naturally aspirated 16V149 rated at about 1000 HP. As manufacturers in the marine, construction, mining, and many other industries required more power output, Detroit added turbocharging and intercooling to the engine. The Big Bud 16V747 is a 4WD four-wheel drive tractor manufactured by Big Bud in Havre, Montana, USA in 1978. Once constructed, it was named the 16V747 Big Bud, and it didn't disappoint. The customer was able to lug a 35,000-pound, 80-foot cultivator through the tough western soil with ease. The farmers even reported the tractor could deep-rip 20 acres per hour and maintain 6 meets BH. The Big Bud 16V747 is equipped with a 24.1L, 1,472 Zhou in V16 diesel engine and a power shift transmission with 6 forward and 1 reverse gears. The Big Bud 747 four-wheel drive tractor used the Detroit Diesel 16V92T engine. It is a 24.1L, 24,122 cm, 1472.0 qn, V16 turbocharged diesel engine with 123.0 mm 484 in of the cylinder bray and 127 Nm 5 in of the piston stroke. The compression ratio rating is 17.01. This engine produced 973.6 PS, 7.8 kW, 960 mHp at 200 RPM of output power. The Big Bud 16V747 is equipped with articulated power steering, pneumatic brakes, cab, standard, and 37.85 liters, 1,000.0 US gallons fuel tank.